We're glad you're here. You're watching The Verdict with Mick Cornett and Kent Myers. Boy, we got a show for you today. We're here every week talking to interesting people about topical issues, and we have a woman today who's really making an impact on this state.
Indeed, and it's basketball time. So we're going to be talking about women's basketball, one of our favorite subjects, and with a person that's one of our favorite guests, Sherry Coale. Just an incredibly successful run at the University of Oklahoma. Well, incredibly successful every place she's been, but most recently at the University of Oklahoma, doing big things and winning lots of games and running a good program from a lot of different perspectives we're going to talk about today. We're really thrilled she'd join us again.
Yeah, she'll be looking back, but most importantly, looking to the future about her Sooner basketball team. It's Sherry Coale today on The Verdict.
In driving rain, blistering heat, and bitter cold, 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, Chesapeake drills non-stop for natural gas on American soil. Chesapeake drills more new gas wells than anyone else, and from those wells collects the most drilling information and acquires more 3D seismic images, leveraging every efficiency to improve the odds of finding more natural gas every day with every well we drill. The better job we do of discovering bigger reserves of clean-burning American natural gas, the greater the prosperity of our nearby communities, our state, and our nation. And as long as there are more gas reserves to be found here in the U.S., we will never rest. Chesapeake. Natural gas wins the day.
Welcome back to The Verdict. Mick Cornett with Kent Myers, and Kent's going to introduce today's guest.
Once again, we're pleased to have Sherry Coale, the head coach of the University of Oklahoma women's basketball program, with us for her fourth visit on The Verdict. We're always pleased she would come back and give us her time, particularly at this busy time of the year for her. As you know, she's a native of Healdton, Oklahoma, graduated from Oklahoma Christian University, coached amazingly successfully at Norman High School, and then went straight to the University of Oklahoma and is in her 12th year there as a head coach with, one can only say, an extraordinary success record. But Sherry's success is not limited to wins and losses. Her program is successful academically, it's successful in the community, and of course on the court success is what most of us know about, but she's got a very well-rounded program we're going to talk about today. Sherry, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
We're taping this show as practices are beginning. We're going to be airing it before your season starts. So tell us about this upcoming season and what your fans can look forward to. What's changed?
23 days until we play Maryland, I know that. 23 practice days left preparing for that. We've had 3 practices under our belt at this juncture, and there are a lot of changes. We lost 6 seniors off last year's team, 6 kids who had made an indelible imprint on our program, on the community of Norman, and on the state. And so we lost a lot of leadership. We lost a lot of basketball IQ. We lost a great deal of experience. And we replaced that with more athleticism, purity of youth, if you will. Some guys that don't know enough about how hard it is. They're very optimistic, and I love their energy. We've seen great growth already in our sophomore class. Our kids that were freshmen last year, some of whom played dominant roles. Jenna Plumley and Amanda Thompson both played significant minutes and became starters halfway through the year. But another cast of characters, Abby Lajuan, Rose Hammond, Naisha Stevenson, guys who are very, very athletic and who are going to help us, but who maybe didn't get much court time last year. And we've seen a tremendous increase in their maturity level and in their ability to learn and to comprehend things that they were taught as a freshman. You know, as your freshman year, it's sort of a jumble in your head, and you're trying to do all these things right, and you're not really sure how it fits together or why it's happening. And as a sophomore, things start to just slow down, and the puzzle pieces start to fit together. And I often say it's like doing a big jigsaw puzzle. Inside a freshman's head are all these pieces, but you have no idea how they all fit together. And as a sophomore, you just sort of start to put the border together, and all the like pieces fit in the same pile, and you start to make progress. I've seen that with our sophomores. I've seen a definite difference in maturity in Courtney Paris, going and playing with USA basketball and being against that level of competition. And that group of players who are so much older than she is really brought back a more serious Courtney and a stronger leader to our practice. And then our new freshmen are really exciting. I think the public they're gonna really be excited about the things that our new freshmen can do on the floor.
Are those in-state freshmen or around the country?
No,
where
they're
are you recruiting? What's your recruiting base now?
Coast to coast and beyond if necessary. We really don't have an area anymore. It's one of the great things about going to the Final Four is it enables you to recruit nationally. We've had obviously a great deal of success in California after landing the twins, and so we have a point guard from California, from San Jose, Danielle Robinson, who's incredibly quick. Will remind fans a lot of Deanna Jackson, the way Deanna could get to the rim and really guard on the ball. But Danielle's quicker than Deanna. She has just amazing speed. And I think she's going to really be an exciting player for people to watch. Then we found a little shooter in Marshall, Arkansas. I always tease Jenny Vining and tell her we found her in a cave in Marshall, Arkansas, where there wasn't anything to do but shoot. And she shot a lot, and she's good at it. And so for people who are worried about who's going to stretch the defense the way Erin Higgins did, shooting 3 and 4 and 5 steps off the arc, it'll be Jenny Vining. She has crazy range and is not just a shooter, she's a maker. And we like that, and can do a lot of other things too. She can guard and has a nice basketball IQ for a freshman. A lot of coaching blood in her family. Her father and her grandfather were coaches, so her basketball IQ is nice, which is just a luxury with the freshmen. And then we have Carly Roethlisberger out of Dayton, Ohio, little sister to Ben Roethlisberger. Carly is a terrific athlete and a very versatile player. She can shoot the three, she can post up. She's about 6'1". Strong and lean and moves well, and I think is going to make us a great hand as well. So we got different things from different parts of the country, but pieces that we needed.
Comment, if you will, about how your past success affects the morale of your current players and recruiting of new players.
Well, I think when we're out recruiting new players, they want to come and be a part of this. It's easy to go out to a recruit's home and to sell the fact that we've won 9 out of the last 14 Big 12 championships. Immediately that says to them, hey, this is a place where it's serious and where the results speak for themselves. So we're able to appeal to the best and the brightest who are out there. We challenge them not only with what we've done on the court, but with the fact that we have 22 straight semesters of a 3.0 team grade average. So if you come here, you better be serious about your schoolwork as well. So what that does when you're recruiting is it weeds out a lot of people immediately, either fear of competing for a spot on the team, don't want to go there and sit, might not be good enough, not interested, fear of not being able to measure up to the standards academically. So immediately you get the crop cut to the ones who are really special and who can make an impact for you. So it affects us in that way. And with the current guys, I think the past couple of years have really been, they've been a growth span for us, because you go to the national championship game in 2002, suddenly the microscope is there in a way that it's never been. And so suddenly there are all these expectations that you're supposed to do it again and again and again and again every year. And the old to whom much has been given, much shall be required. And so they come in knowing that the expectations are high, which is really, really positive. And there's also some pressure associated with that. And after we went 16-0 in the Big 12 season before last, I think coming into last season was the most pressure our kids had ever felt in terms of an entire group, top to bottom. We have to be perfect. Anything less than perfect is a disappointment, because we were perfect in league play last year, and we went to the Sweet 16, so we have to go further than that. And I think the whole year those kids had to figure out how to handle that added expectation, and sometimes unrealistic expectation. But there are more goods than bads to that. And I think those guys, our young guys, learned about that and now handle it better and have a different perspective going into this season.
Put the conference in context. Where does the Big 12 rank among the nation's conferences? Is the best basketball being played around here, or it's still in other pockets of the country as well?
I still think that probably the best basketball, honestly, is probably top to bottom in the SEC in terms of athleticism.
No weak teams in the SEC.
Athleticism, physical nature, speed of game. It's a little bit of a different brand of basketball. And there are obviously some fabulous teams in the Big East. Rutgers came out of that and participated in the championship game last year. Obviously, Connecticut is there. But from top to bottom, SEC has won more championships. You know, I always said this. Big 12, we had all these great teams going to the NCAA tournament every year. You know, 6 or 7 teams getting in the NCAA tournament. And no one would talk about the Big 12 as being one of the finest basketball conferences in the country. Well, I would say publicly, until one of us gets into the Final Four, you really can't. As long as an SEC team and a Big East team are in the Final Four every year and a Big 12 team is not, you really can't lobby for that, even though it's a very competitive conference. We broke into the Final Four, then Texas broke into the Final Four, then Baylor broke into the Final Four and won the championship. And so now we're much closer to that standard of measurement. And I do think night in and night out it's as challenging as any league in the country. But I think come postseason, in order for us to put the moniker best women's basketball conference in the country, we have to win some more national championships and we have to appear regularly in that championship game.
Sherry Coale is our guest. We're visiting about Oklahoma women's basketball and a lot of things in general, and she'll be back with another segment with us when we return.
Shining is taking responsibility. At Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Oklahoma, we know managing your health care can be overwhelming, and it's our job to help you meet the challenge. By guiding, supporting, and showing the way, we encourage you to gain control. Because we believe the best tool we can give you is the confidence to take charge. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Oklahoma, shining through.
Okiwani is an Indian name for a place where children play. When we obtained the camp, we found a lot of oil debris left in the woods. We saw a commercial about how the oil and natural gas industry cleans up old oil well sites. We called the OERB and they agreed to remove tons of concrete and steel. It didn't cost us a thing. Thousands of children have left their footprints on this land. Thanks to the oil and gas industry, they will for a long time to come.
All children deserve a life of hope and love, but sometimes they experience a life of pain, neglect, and abuse.
When that happens, each child deserves all the quality assistance and representation that can be offered in our legal system. For more information, call 23-CHILD.
Oklahoma Lawyers for Children, helping to bring hope and love back to the lives of abused children.
We're back on The Verdict. Mick Cornett, Kent Myers, and OU women's basketball coach Sherry Coale.
Let's talk about attendance. Last year, you had great attendance. How did that compare in prior years?
We averaged 10,400 people a game last year. Moved into 4th in the country. Trailed Texas Tech, they're 3rd. Trailed them by about 200 folks. So we think we're going to pass them this year and at least move into 3rd and maybe better.
Let me harken back to the past. First year at OU, your average attendance was?
About 200 people.
Yeah, you got from 200 to 10,000.
Yeah, Coach Ross and I used to, during pregame warm-ups, look around and we would know everybody in the arena by name. And they were personal friends of ours, that's why they were there. So we like the fact now that we can't find our friends or our family in the mass of people that are attending our games. It's been a really significant thing for us, the fan involvement. It's not just been the fact that when we play Texas, we have 12,000 people there, or when we play Baylor, we have 12,000 people there. We can play North Central Arkansas and have 10, 11, 12,000 people there. Our fans are truly loyal to our product. It doesn't matter who we're playing. It doesn't matter if it's for a conference championship or the third game of the year. If we're playing, people come, and that is such a significant selling point for us with recruits. And it makes such a difference in the way our guys get ready to play games. They view every game as important because Oklahoma's playing, and they know that our fans view it that way as well.
Yeah. Talk about the Big 12 conference race this year. How's it changed from years past?
You know, it's very similar in that there are probably 3 or 4 teams that have a shot at winning it, and maybe even more than that. And I don't think that's changed in the past 12 years that I've been a part of it. Now, the teams that are mentioned in those 4 have changed. When I first begun in this league, it was Iowa State, Texas, and Texas Tech. You had to beat those guys if you wanted to have a shot. Kansas in that first and second year when Lynn Pride was playing there. And then as the years progress, the changing of the guard has sort of swung around, and we're proud that we've been in that mix since 1999. We really have been in that 3 or 4 who have a chance to win the conference and ultimately do. I think this year's race, Texas A&M is the predetermined #1 choice by the coaches. They were picked as preseason favorite to win the league. We split the league title last year with A&M, and then of course we won the tournament, but they returned almost everyone off of that team, and we lost 6 seniors. So I can understand how that happened. Baylor will be really, really good. Texas will be good. Don't know how quickly they'll adjust to Coach Gestenkers replacing the legend Jody Conrad, but I do know they'll be talented, and if they buy into her system, they'll be really good pretty quickly. Oklahoma State is much better. Iowa State is always good. Bill Finley does such a tremendous job with his kids. He'll find a way to win and be in the race at the end. I think Nebraska will be a little bit better. I just think that there are great competitors on all sides, but obviously the Big 12 South is stacked as always.
Talk about facilities upgrade. Do you see anything happening in the reasonably near future insofar as facilities are concerned?
Actually, I do. Facilities are, it's mind-boggling to think about what happens because we built our practice gyms, men's and women's practice gym, men's and women's team facilities. They were completed in 2002, and it was state-of-the-art. I could read off a laundry list of coaches and administrators across this country who flew in just to Norman, Oklahoma to figure out how we did this thing. They took tours, they took notes, they asked questions. We're talking about everybody from Michigan State to Florida across the board. We had created the state-of-the-art basketball facility. And now you look around and there are 20, 30, 40 facilities just like ours. So we have to take stock and look around and go, okay, now what can we do to make sure we're cutting edge and we've moved back to the front? And I think that next step will have to do with the Lloyd Noble Center itself. Obviously, our auxiliary gyms and our team facilities are the best in the country. And our Legacy Court, which is basically a basketball museum as a part of our facility, it's outstanding. Nobody has anything like that. But when you go to the Lloyd Noble Center itself, it's a little bit dated. It was created at a time in terms of a multi-purpose environment, not necessarily an arena built for basketball. And there have been changes and upgrades over the past few years to try to make it more fan-friendly for a basketball game and maybe take some of the concert feel out of it. And those things have been affected. And when it's full, there's no place in America that's more difficult to play in. But I think there are lots of things that can be done to the arena to take the original facility and upgrade it, make it state-of-the-art. We have a new scoreboard system this year with 8 video boards, a completely new addition. We walked in and thought, okay, it's bigger than the arena. I don't know if I ever want to stand at center court with the risk of it falling on me. But we have done little things, and Joe upgraded the lighting system a couple of years ago, which made a tremendous difference in terms of our televised games. So there have been incremental uplifts along the way, but I think we're getting close to the time to see something really significant there.
Talk about the academic program. I know that your players have certainly in recent years had some extraordinary academic success. How important is that to you and the program?
Well, it's our #1 mission, to educate our student athletes so that they might go out in the world and make a difference. I mean, that's #1. If we win some conference championships and go to the Final Four and get a few rings along the way, that's gravy, but they're there to receive a first-rate education. And we have some graduates who have gone out and just literally blown me away. Stephanie Simon graduated at the top of her law class and is a practicing attorney in Atlanta, Georgia. Kate Hill is in her final year of residency. She's going to be an orthopedic surgeon, went through the Oklahoma College of Medicine. Becky Preston in Albuquerque, New Mexico, working in investments, and just I could go on and on and on. The teachers and the coaches that our program has put forth. And I'm most proud of that. I'm proud that Stacey Dales was an All-American, but I'm even more proud when I see her being articulate and confident in front of a television camera for ESPN. So our guys have really gone out and made an impact, I think, in their own little corners of the world. And that's due in large part to the environment that they're in at Oklahoma. You know, we expect them to take their coursework seriously, and we expect them to be studious and to have high goals. And I've often said that sometimes on a bus the night before the game, if we're traveling from a hotel or from an airport to a hotel, I have to tell our guys, we have a game and I want you to think about the scout for just a little bit. If you could put calculus and psychology away for just a few minutes so we can get ready to play Texas Tech. But that's how serious they are in their intent to receive first-rate education to earn their degree.
I suppose there's always going to be a place in basketball for a smaller point guard who can handle the ball, but is it my imagination or are the guards getting taller in women's basketball? I'm seeing these 6'1" guards now who are handling the ball at the point.
It's not your imagination at all, Mick. And you can always count on whatever happens on the men's side will matriculate to the women's side, and you see the John Stocktons disappear. And Steve Nash might be an exception to that, although he's bigger than John was. But you see these 6'3", 6'4", 6'5" point guards out handling the basketball. And for years and years and years, Magic Johnson was the anomaly to all of that. Well, that's trickled over to women's basketball, and now more players are getting fundamental repetitions when they're 10, 11, 12 years old. They're not letting people stick them at the block and say you're going to be a post player because you're going to be tall. They're developing their skills, and so you do see bigger, stronger, faster guards. But I still say there's a spot in the game for anybody, regardless of what size you are, if you're really, really good at what you do and you compete. And I think we have proof positive of that on our team with Jenna Plumlee, who is 5'1" barefoot. She literally is. But she proved last year in guiding our team that it doesn't really matter how big you are, as long as you have the skill and the competitive nature and the basketball IQ, and she has all three of those things. You can find a place and you can lead a team, and she did that very effectively for us.
Can't believe we're out of time, but we are.
Well, that's because I talk nonstop. I'm so sorry.
That's why we want you.
Thanks for coming on The Verdict.
My pleasure.
Yeah, good luck this year.
season.
Thank you.
Sherry Coale, OU women's basketball coach. Kent and I'll have a final word after this.
The good life comes naturally to Tulsa, where nature's beauty is matched with an eye for aesthetics. A legacy of neighborhoods graced with lawns and landscaping and handsome homes. A place that seems to have patented an ideal lifestyle. Bank First is loyal to the quality of life Tulsa assures its citizens, to the priority placed on education, culture, and growth. Loyal to builders who transform raw land into residential charm. Developers who see opportunity and add vitality to Tulsa's economy. Bank First serves both enterprise and private lives that need a loyal partner. It's how we help nurture this city's very good life. Bank First. Loyal to Oklahoma. Loyal to you.
The Journal-Record is pleased to be a sponsor of The Verdict. The Journal-Record, since 1903, the best source of Oklahoma business news and legal information.
We are wrapping up a show with OU women's basketball coach Sherry Coale. I can't believe the number of championships she's won since coming from Norman High School.
Oh, well, she was, of course, extremely successful at Norman High School, and that's just carried on at the top level of college basketball. Sherry Coale, Jan Ross, Stacy Hansmeyer, the entire staff down there just do a great job from a recruiting standpoint. But once they get the players in, they know how to treat them. They encourage them to be good students and good citizens. And they're just doing everything right. Speaking of someone who's doing everything right, for you OSU fans, next week we're going to have Kurt Budke, the new, relatively new, Oklahoma State University women's basketball coach, to talk about his program.
And that program is headed in the right direction as well. That's becoming an even bigger rivalry than it's been. I give you some website information for you. You can reach information about Sherry Coale's Sooner basketball team at Soonersports.com. And you can always go to our website and tell us about a show that you'd like to see on a future edition of The Verdict. Our website is theverdict.tv. For Kent Myers, I'm Mick Cornett. We'll see you next week on The Verdict.
The preceding program was produced exclusively for the Cox Channel.